Hi there everyone, Brian here, and I know it's been a case of long time no see. I haven't posted a video for probably about a month now, I think, maybe certainly 3 or 4 weeks, and not for any particular reason other than I've been very busy, and I haven't actually been in that kind of zone of really feeling that I needed to film a video. In fact, I had a period of time over the last month, probably about 2 weeks ago, where I actually had 4 days off work to myself. My partner was away at the time, and you know, I could have made videos in that time, but interestingly enough I didn't, and the reason for that is that I was very focused on another project which I'll tell you about in a second. But I really just wanted to come back online just to say that I'm still here, I'm still thinking about you, I haven't forgotten about you, and I will be making more videos soon. But I actually wanted to get some feedback from you about that very thing. I want to know from you what videos, or what kind of videos you would most like to see from me, and what kind of things you would like me to talk about, because I want to make sure that this channel is providing you with content that you find useful and interesting, and that I'm adding value. I don't want to just repeat what other people have been doing, or you know, just make videos for the sake of it. I want it to be a channel where the videos are genuinely useful to those of you who come here and who are watching the videos and are subscribing, and I'm very grateful to you for that. So yeah, a couple of questions. I suppose the first one actually relates to the thing that I did for the 4 days that I was off. The reason that I didn't make any videos during that 4-day period is that I actually was very focused on disciplining myself to finally get my act together and sit down and do the outline for my long promised, long talked about novel. And I'm very pleased to say that I did. I sat down and I stood with a whip over myself and made myself do it, and I have got an outline for my novel. Actually, for more than one novel. I think it's going to probably be, or not probably be, it is going to be a series of novels. And I've got a fairly detailed outline of the first novel, in terms of I know, you know, who's in it, I know what the inciting incident is, I know the cast of characters, or at least some of them, I know the beginning, the middle and the end, I know the theme that I want to explore, I know some of what the scenes are going to be, and I've worked with the kind of the 3-act structure, and also with a variation on the hero's journey as a way of looking at how my main character will grow and develop. So I spent quite a lot of time on that, and it took all of those 4 days to do it. And actually the outline as it stands at the moment, I've been doing it in Scrivener, which is for those of you who are writers and who use Scrivener, you'll know that it's a kind of word processor stroke filing stroke pinboard memory system, all rolled up into one with bells on. And I've only just started using it and teaching myself how to do it. So I actually spent some of the 4 days learning a bit about Scrivener. But in that, it's not a hugely detailed outline yet, but it is a significantly detailed outline. So I've got enough to be able to say, yes, there is a novel there. I can definitely see a novel there. And now comes the hard task of actually disciplining myself to write it. So I've set myself a bit of a challenge, and my experience, by the way, of writing and publishing, I've published 2 non-fiction books so far, and the way that I managed to get myself to do those and actually discipline myself to do it was I told the world and his auntie and his auntie's parrot that I was going to write this non-fiction book, my first non-fiction book, and I said I was going to do it by my 40th birthday, and it was going to be written and it was going to be out there and published by my 40th birthday. And you know, that was kind of my accountability. By telling everyone I was going to do it, I then was put in a position of thinking, well, either I don't do it and look like a complete chump, or I do it. And I did it. And so that's what I'm doing with the novel. I'm telling everyone that I'm going to be doing it. I'm telling everyone I'm going to be writing it. And up until now, I haven't actually given myself any kind of real deadline. But I have decided on a deadline for the first draft, at least. So what I've said to myself is that I am going to have the first draft of this novel written, a full first draft written, by the end of November. Why the end of November? Well, it's because November, again, for those of you who are writers and who follow this kind of stuff, you might know this, but November is National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo for shorthand. And what happens in NaNoWriMo is a number of people commit to writing a first draft of a novel, that's what they do. They write the first draft. So that's what I'm intending to do. That doesn't mean I'm going to wait until November to start doing the writing. I'm actually going to do as much work as I can beforehand, so that when I go into November and do the drafting, I've got enough information to be able to do what I consider to be a successful first draft. So I'm very much conscious of the fact that it will need to be redrafted at least once, probably more than that. But I want the first draft to at least be, you know, as good a start as it can be, and I want it to be as detailed enough to do the story justice that I'm trying to tell. So that's the first bit of news, and I'm telling you this on this video so that you can help me stay accountable, and you can be saying to me, Brian, how's that novel coming? And if it gets past November and I haven't written it, you can say, you said. I haven't said which year though, have I? I've only just said November, so maybe I won't say anything about the year in case things slip. You know that I really mean this year. But if things slip, then I'll be able to say, oh no, I actually meant 2024, and I'll still be okay with myself, because I've basically lied to myself and convinced myself that it wasn't necessary to do the novel until then. But hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully we'll do it this year. So, so that's the first bit of news. And the question I have that is allied to that bit of news is actually about the content of this channel, because one of the things that I'm thinking about doing, either on this channel or maybe even on a separate channel that I set up specifically for the purpose, although that feels like a kind of slightly artificial and complicated thing to do, so maybe on this channel, is that I'm going to start doing a series of videos on the writing process. Now, I can speak with a degree of authority on the process of writing non-fiction books, because I've done 2 of those. And so I'm thinking along the lines of doing some videos where I teach people or share with people how I've taught myself how to write non-fiction books, and then as I write the novel and go through the process of writing and then publishing the novel, I could share information on how to do that as well. So what I need from you is to know whether that would be of any interest to any of you. Would you like to hear from me in more detail about the process of figuring out what to write about, preparing to write, motivating yourself to write, organising yourself to write, doing the writing process, you know, thinking up ideas, developing the structure of a book, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, going through the process of getting it drafted and then redrafted and finalised and published. If you are interested in any of that, please let me know, and I will seriously consider adding that to the repertoire of videos on this channel. So the other thing that I'm thinking about, and this relates to what I've talked about on the channel up until now, which is mainly tarot and other psychospiritual tools and methods, is about what videos I should be doing next in that field, in that area. And I'm particularly keen that what I don't do is spread myself too thinly, because I'm conscious I've got lots of different irons in the fire, and I don't want to be going into anything at too shallow a level. I want it to be, as I said earlier, I want it to be in terms of the tarot videos that I'm doing and the videos about other psychospiritual tools, I want them to be something that adds value and is useful to you. So I'm conscious that I've had lots of tarot decks recently, and I haven't actually done any walkthroughs recently, because mainly because the decks that I've been getting are actually decks that other people have done walkthroughs of, and I don't want to just repeat them. I know that sometimes walkthroughs from different people are very valuable because you do get a different perspective, and I'm not saying I'm not going to do any more walkthroughs of just ad hoc kind of tarot decks. I will do, but what I don't want to do is put myself under pressure of thinking that every new tarot deck I've got to do a video and a walkthrough and so on. What I'd be more interested in doing is actually focusing in on a particularly useful area of tarot studies and maybe incorporating walkthroughs into that. And I've had an idea around that, and I've alluded to this a few times on the channel, but it's really kind of crystallized for me recently. And again, what I'm looking for is your feedback. I want to know if you think this would be a useful thing for me to do. And what I'm thinking about doing is the following. I'm thinking about doing a video series, and it might be an interactive video series, so rather than have a tag, a single tag where people respond to, but actually having a kind of almost like a conversation tag, where in this series anyone who wants to join in the conversation can do so. And the theme that I'm thinking about following is one that I think would be a really useful way of providing an umbrella under which we could talk about a whole range of interesting tarot topics, but in a structured way. And the umbrella, the theme, is to look at the tarot in a numerological sense. And by that I don't necessarily mean just looking at how numerology relates to tarot, although that could be part of it, but looking at how the numbers in the tarot can be studied one by one, individually, in such a way that we can go very deeply into each of the cards and then look at how they interact. And when I say the numbers, I don't mean 1 to 22 in the major arcana, or 1 to 10 plus the 4 suits. What I mean actually is taking the numbers 0 to 9, which are so there are 10 individual numbers in the tarot: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then once you get beyond that, everything else is a combination of what's come before. So 1 is a 1 and a 0, 11 is 1 and a 1, 12 is 1 and a 2, etc, etc. So you know what I mean. The individual, unique, singular numbers in the tarot are the numbers 0 to 9. So what I'm thinking about doing is a series of videos where we'll look at each of those numbers, 0 to 9. And that would mean that, for example, if we were studying the number 9, what we'd be looking at there, of course, is the Hermit, because the Hermit is the 9th card in the major arcana. But we would also be looking at the Moon, number 18, because 1 and 8 makes 9. So those of you who follow the practice of looking at tarot life cards and tarot birth cards will know that the Moon is the shadow card, or the additional card to the Hermit if your life path is number 9. That would be, and if we were looking at number 1, say the Magician, of course we'd look at the Magician, but we'd also look at the Wheel of Fortune, 1, 0. So that's kind of my thinking, and also to say that for both of those, sorry, I should have said that as well as looking at the major arcana, we'd look at the equivalent cards in the minor arcana. So if we were looking at number 1, the Magician, as well as looking at 1, the Magician, and 10, the Wheel of Fortune, we'd also look at the aces in each of the 4 suits. If we were looking at number 9, the Hermit, and the Moon, we'd also look at the 9s in each of the 4 suits. And it just feels to me as though that would be a good way of looking at the totality of the tarot, and probably what we'd need to do is a separate set of videos for the court cards, of course. Although so I have seen some people use them numerologically and actually treat them as number 11, 12, 13, 14 within the minor arcana. I don't know that that's not necessarily an accepted view by most, but some people I've seen do that, and I think there is an interesting discussion to be had around that. I'm not saying that that's how I would do it, but what I am saying is that if we did this numerological tour through the tarot, the court cards wouldn't get left out. We would look at them as well. It just seems to me that this would be a good way of looking at each of the tarot cards, every single one of the tarot cards, in a degree of depth without actually having to go through 78 cards one by one. We could look at them in clusters, in constellations, as Mary Greer would say. So we look at the constellation of the Hermit, where we look at the 9 and the 18 and the number 9s in the 4 suits. And we'd look at what those numbers mean numerologically, and how that numerological association can be used in tarot studies. It would also allow us then to look at what the numbers mean when they turn up in a reading, what happens when you combine tarot cards of different numbers, and what meaning is created there. It would allow us to go into tarot life cards and birth cards and shadow cards, so that as well as looking at how we would study these numbers in readings, we'd also look at how they relate to ourselves from a life and personality point of view. So it feels to me that it could be a very interesting and interactive thing to do. And I know that some people have already looked at things like tarot birth cards and life cards, but this would be a nice way, I think, of us collectively going into that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So and what I'm also thinking is that it would lend itself to a video discussion, so we could have some interaction by video if I did this series. And I'm conscious that not everyone has a YouTube channel, of course, or if they do, they don't all make videos. And many of you who are watching this are people who have YouTube channels or have a YouTube account, but you don't have a, you don't create videos, but you still often join in the conversation. And I really value all of those conversations. I appreciate, for example, that some people have responded to some of the tags that I've done in the past, and they've done that on Instagram, or they've done it in the YouTube comments or on Facebook comments, and it's just been great. It's been really, really great to have all of you part of the conversation. So I would want that for this as well. And part of the consideration I'm giving in terms of facilitating that is, as well as doing a video series around this theme, is actually also setting up perhaps a Facebook group where we could meet, and I could post a video and then people can post their responses and have a discussion, or post their own videos, and we'd focus it very much on the theme of the video series, which would be about looking at the numbers 0 to 9. So that's my thinking, and I hope I explained that. It's difficult to kind of encapsulate it all in one go without actually going into doing the series, but hopefully I've explained it, and helped you to understand that this would be a way of working through all 78 cards with me, but doing it in clusters and constellations so we can study them together. So if you're interested in that, if you think it's something you'd like to see me do, then please do let me know, and yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll give it some more thought, and may well press ahead with that. But I'd like to hear your feedback or read your feedback first. So please let me know what you think. So that's it. Apart from one thing I do want to just share with you, I did say I wasn't going to do a walkthrough, but I did want to just share the tarot, and I picked this up just before I came to do the video because I've enjoyed it so much, and it's called the Tarot of Inspiration. Some of you will be familiar with this, and I had heard of it, and I think I'd seen a couple of cards, but never really paid much attention to it until a video response to my last tag, 7 Life Purpose Questions, by Tamara's Tarot and Oracle. I think it's Tamara's Tarot and Oracle. Sorry, Tamara, if I've completely chewed up that. Tamara's Tarot and Oracle. I was right. Yeah, I was right. And she, in one of her videos, I think in one of the responses to me, used this deck. And then she's also done a walkthrough of, or a review of the Tarot of Inspiration. And she's actually done it alongside one of my favourite decks, as you all know, Tarot of the Old Path. So I'll link to that video below, and you can see the cards in a bit more detail there. But just to say, having seen it on her channel, I rushed out and got it, or ordered it on Etsy, and I think it's gorgeous. Just look at that, lovely images. I'm not going to go through them all, but lovely fine art images. The card stock is not brilliant. It's kind of cardboardy, quite high gloss as well. And I think it might be a bit susceptible to chipping, but I haven't used it enough to know that for sure. But in a sense, I think the quality of the art makes up for that. I'm not going to go through them all, but just to show you, look at the devil. Doesn't he look devilish? Very devilish. So some really nice, striking images, both on the majors and in the minors. Very recognisable kind of images as well. So I don't think if you're familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith system, you'll have no problem with this deck. It's not a Rider-Waite clone, but it's quite close to it. So there's an example. There's the 8 of Wands, lovely kind of flying up into the air in a kind of shield motif here. But you get the meaning conveyed in the artwork with the winged horse. So yeah, as I say, I'm not going to go through them all. Here's a couple of court cards. Page. Also to say, a unique thing about this deck, which I think is rather interesting, is that it has an additional court card. So we have a page, princess, knight, queen, and king for each of the suits. So, I'm very pleased to pick this up, so thank you, Tamara, for alerting me to the presence of this wonderful deck and the wonderful artwork. For those of you who like fine art decks, should enjoy it. And as well as the additional court cards, the additional court card, you also get a Happy Monkey card and a Tabula Rasa card, which isn't quite blank, but is as near as damage. So that is the Tarot of Inspiration. So I thought I would just give you a little bit of tarot flavour as a bonus in this video, since the video is very much asking you to do the work of giving me feedback. I thought I'd give you a little something. So I'll put the link to the Etsy shop where I got this below as well. And I look forward to hearing your responses. So let me know what you think. Are you interested in the writing theme and the writing series of videos, and also in the tarot numerology, tarot 0 to 9 series of videos where we look at the constellation both from a life path point of view and also in terms of the meaning of the different cards in a reading. All of that is up for grabs. Let me know what you think, and until the next time, take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon. Bye.